Hi, Abby. So, last time when I read, it was all about the idea of a pizza eating contest for Louie's restaurant, right? And Katie Kazoo's friends all were excited, and George and Kevin were going to be in the contest. Well, today is the day. They're going to have the contest. So, Katie got up really early to go help Louie set up. So let's find out what happens next. Katie's mom was in the car on the way to the mall, and she asked Katie, "Are you worried about the contest?" "I guess," Katie admitted. "What if no one shows up?" "That won't happen. There are already a lot of people signed up," said Katie's mom. "What if it's not enough? What if Louie still goes out of business?" Katie asked. "Oh, honey, there's nothing you can do about that. You've given it your best shot, and you're a very good friend to Louie." Katie wasn't so sure about that. She kept remembering how sad Louie was when he spotted her in olives and oregano. "This just has to work, Mom," she insisted. "Good morning," Louie greeted Katie with a huge grin. As she walked into the pizza shop, he opened the oven door and used the big metal pizza turner to move the pies around. "I've got them started already. There are 4 pies in the oven and lots more ready to go." He pointed to a long line of pre-made, uncooked pizzas. "I've got to make sure that lots of pizzas just keep on coming." Smells great," she told Louie. "What do you need me to do?" "Well, I know the adults are going to want the coffee. Can you make sure we have enough sugar and cinnamon on the counter for anyone who might need it?" Katie nodded and walked over to the counter. She found a big shaker of sugar and cinnamon alongside the oregano, hot pepper, and garlic. "Got it, Louie." "Good," Louie said. "Now please go to the storeroom and get lots of paper plates." Katie did as she was told. As the storeroom door shut behind her, she looked up and down on the shelves, searching for plates. Suddenly, she felt a strange breeze on the back of her neck. It started out gentle enough, but within seconds the breeze turned into a strong wind. A wind that was blowing only around Katie. The magic wind was back. As the wild tornado swirled faster and faster, Katie grabbed onto a huge, heavy carton of plastic silverware. She held on so tight, hoping the heavy box would keep her from blowing away. She squeezed her eyes shut and hoped that the magic wind would just stop blowing. Which is exactly what happened. The wind simply stopped. Katie opened her eyes slowly and looked around. There were cartons and cans all around her, and she was still in the storeroom. Now she knew where she was, but she didn't know who she was. Katie looked down at her clothes. Her jeans had been replaced with very baggy white pants, along with a white apron which covered her stomach. She looked at her hands, and they were large and hairy and covered with flour, and they smelled of garlic. Katie touched her face. Her fingers brushed over something long and twirly beneath her nose. Yuck! Katie had a mustache. Who had Katie become? Do you know who? Who has large hairy hands and a mustache and wears an apron? She picked up a huge shiny metal pizza tray and stared at her reflection. Louie's face stared back at her. "Oh no! The magic wind had turned her into Louie. Katie started to panic. She couldn't possibly be Louie, not now. All those people out there were going to be expecting him to give his yummy pizzas. She didn't know anything about making pizza. She'd never even cooked anything without her mom before. The contest was going to be ruined. Louie was going to have to close the restaurant and move to Florida with his sister. And it would be all Katie's fault. "Oh, please come back," Katie begged the magic wind. "I need Louie to be here. I want to be me again." But the wind did not return, which left Katie with no choice. She was going to have to go out there and run the shop and the pizza contest all by herself. "This is going to be a disaster," she groaned in her deep man voice. Katie walked slowly out of the storeroom of Louie's pizza shop. But the shop was closed, and that didn't stop people from lining up outside the windows. Katie couldn't believe it. There were tons of people there, not to mention television news crews and newspaper reporters wearing press badges on their shirts. Any other time, Katie would have been thrilled to see so many people at Louie's, but now she was worried. Still, Katie couldn't put the contest off any longer. She went over to unlock the door. She could only hope that the pizzas Louie had already made would be enough. The crowd streamed in. 8 of the 10 contestants took their places at the long table that Louie had arranged in front of the restaurant. The runners, the people Louie had hired to serve the contestants, stood behind the table. It was almost time for the contest to begin, but there were still 2 empty seats. Suddenly, Becky Stern came leaping and prancing into the shop. "Here comes George. He's sure to win," Becky cheered. "Here comes George. He'll make you grin." She leaped up, did a backflip, and landed in a perfect split. Jeremy strolled in behind her. "Presenting the one, the only, George the Joker Brennan," he shouted. Then George made his entrance. He was dressed in a pair of shiny red shorts and a black t-shirt with a big red smiley face in the middle. He had a black towel tucked into his shirt collar, just like a cape. He looked like a superhero. George smiled at the crowd. He pushed the smiley face on his shirt, and a computer chip inside the shirt made a laughing sound. Some of the photographers leaped in front of George and began snapping his picture. Other people cheered. George was definitely the center of attention. But not for long. Just then somebody blew a loud horn, and everyone turned towards the door. There stood Suzanne holding a plastic horn. She smiled. "Forget that joker. Here's your true champion. Kevin, the Tomato Man, Camilleri!" Kevin walked in. Unlike George, he seemed embarrassed by all the attention. Maybe that was because of the outfit Suzanne had forced him to wear. He had on red shorts, a red shirt, red knee socks, and a red hat with a small green felt stem sticking on the top. He looked like a walking tomato. And at that, we'll leave it alone until tomorrow. Sweet dreams. I love you, Johnny. I love you, Abby. Mwah.